Hey there, welcome back. It's 2026, and if you're watching this, you're probably thinking about your financial future. Maybe you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you've got some money saved, but you're not sure what to do with it. Or maybe you're just confused by all the conflicting advice out there. Buy crypto, invest in index funds, start a side hustle, pay off debt, save for emergencies. It's overwhelming. But here's what I want you to know. Building wealth isn't nearly as complicated as the financial industry wants you to think. Today, I'm going to walk you through a complete step-by-step wealth-building strategy that actually works in the real world. No get-rich-quick schemes, no complicated jargon, just a proven system that anyone can follow regardless of where you're starting from. Before we dive in, let me be clear about something. Building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. If you're looking for a way to turn $1,000 into $1 million by next month, this isn't that video. But if you want a realistic, sustainable plan to build serious wealth over the next 5, 10, or 20 years, then stick with me, because what I'm about to share with you has worked for millions of people, and it can work for you too. Let's start with the foundation, because you can't build a house on sand, and you can't build wealth without a solid financial base. The first step in any wealth-building journey is getting control of your money. That means knowing exactly where your money's going every single month. I know, budgeting sounds boring. But here's the truth. You cannot build wealth if you're spending more than you earn. It's mathematically impossible. So before you invest a single dollar, before you start a side hustle, before you do anything else, you need to track your spending for at least 1 month. Write down every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out. Every coffee, every subscription, every bill, everything. This isn't about judging yourself. It's about awareness. You can't fix what you don't measure. Once you know where your money's going, you can create a budget that works for you. And I'm not talking about some restrictive diet where you can't spend money on anything fun. I'm talking about a spending plan that aligns with your values and your goals. A popular framework is the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income goes to needs, things like rent, utilities, groceries, and transportation. 30% goes to wants, like dining out, entertainment, hobbies, and travel. And 20% goes to savings and debt repayment. Now, these percentages aren't set in stone. If you're aggressively building wealth, you might flip it to 50% needs, 20% wants, and 30% savings. The point is to be intentional about where your money goes. Step 2, and this is non-negotiable, build an emergency fund. I don't care how excited you are about investing or how much debt you want to pay off. If you don't have money set aside for emergencies, the first time your car breaks down or you have a medical issue, you're going to derail your entire financial plan. Your emergency fund is your safety net. It protects you from life's curveballs. Start with a goal of $1,000. That's your beginner emergency fund, and it'll cover most minor emergencies. Once you have that, work toward 3 to 6 months of living expenses. If you spend $3,000 a month, you want $9,000 to $18,000 in your emergency fund. Keep this money in a high-yield savings account where you can access it quickly, but where it's also earning some interest. Right now in 2026, you can find high-yield savings accounts paying around 4 to 5% interest, which is pretty solid for money you might need at any moment. Step 3, eliminate high-interest debt. Not all debt is created equal. A mortgage at 3% interest is very different from a credit card charging you 22%. High-interest debt is an emergency. It's a financial fire that's burning your money every single day. If you have credit card debt, personal loans with high rates, or payday loans, you need to attack those aggressively. Use either the debt snowball method, where you pay off the smallest balances first for psychological wins, or the debt avalanche method, where you tackle the highest interest rates first to save money. Either way, get rid of high-interest debt as fast as you can. Every dollar you pay in interest is a dollar that could be working for you instead of against you. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Once you've built your emergency fund and eliminated high-interest debt, you're ready to start actually building wealth. And this is where most people get stuck, because there are so many options and so much conflicting advice. So let me break down the most effective wealth-building strategies for 2026, and we'll talk about how to use each one. Strategy number 1, maximize your retirement accounts. If your employer offers a 401k match, this is literally free money. Let's say your company matches 50% of your contributions up to 6% of your salary.
If you make $60,000 a year and you contribute 6%, that's $3,600 you're putting in. Your employer adds another $1,800. That's an instant 50% return on your money. You cannot beat that anywhere else. So at minimum, contribute enough to get the full employer match. If you can afford to contribute more, even better. The contribution limit for a 401k in 2026 is $23,000, or $30,500 if you're over 50. Now, should you choose traditional or Roth? Traditional contributions reduce your taxable income now, but you'll pay taxes when you withdraw in retirement. Roth contributions are made with after-tax dollars, but they grow tax-free and you don't pay taxes on withdrawals in retirement. If you're early in your career and in a lower tax bracket, Roth usually makes more sense. If you're in your peak earning years with a high tax rate, traditional might be better, or you can split the difference and do both. If you don't have access to a 401k, or if you've maxed it out, look into an IRA. You can contribute up to $7,000 per year to an IRA in 2026, or $8,000 if you're over 50. Again, you have the choice between traditional and Roth. The same logic applies. And if you're self-employed or have a side business, look into a SEP IRA or a solo 401k. These allow you to contribute significantly more, up to $69,000 in 2026 for a solo 401k. The key point here is this. Retirement accounts give you massive tax advantages. Either you get a tax break now or you get tax-free growth forever. Use these accounts to your advantage. Strategy number 2. Invest in low-cost index funds. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time, has said repeatedly that the average person should invest in low-cost index funds. And he's right. An index fund is a type of mutual fund or ETF that tracks a market index, like the S&P 500. When you buy an S&P 500 index fund, you're essentially buying a tiny piece of the 500 largest companies in America, companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and so on. The beauty of index funds is that they're diversified, low cost, and historically have delivered solid returns. Over the last 100 years, the stock market has averaged about 10% annual returns. Some years it's up 30%, some years it's down 20%. But over the long term, it trends upward. And because index funds just track the market rather than trying to beat it, they have very low fees. You want to look for funds with an expense ratio below 0.2%. The less you pay in fees, the more money stays in your pocket and compounds over time. Here's a simple investment strategy that works for most people. If you're young and have decades until retirement, put most of your money in stock index funds. Maybe 80 to 90% in a total stock market fund or an S&P 500 fund, and 10 to 20% in a bond fund for stability. As you get older and closer to retirement, you gradually shift more into bonds to reduce risk.
Option 2. Buy rental properties. This is more advanced, but it can generate passive income and long-term appreciation. You buy a property, rent it out, and ideally, the rent covers your mortgage and expenses while also giving you some cash flow. Over time, your tenants pay down your mortgage, the property appreciates in value, and you build serious wealth. The challenge is that being a landlord isn't always passive. You have to deal with maintenance, problem tenants, and vacancies. But if you're willing to put in the work, or if you hire a property manager, it can be very lucrative. Option 3. Invest in REITs. If you want exposure to real estate without the hassle of being a landlord, consider real estate investment trusts. REITs or companies that own and operate income-producing real estate, like apartment buildings, shopping centers, or office buildings. You can buy shares of REITs just like stocks, and they're required to pay out 90% of their taxable income as dividends. So you get regular income plus potential appreciation. It's a way to diversify into real estate without needing a huge down payment or dealing with tenants. Strategy number 4. Build multiple income streams. This is where the real wealth acceleration happens. There's a limit to how much you can save from your primary job, but there's no limit to how much you can earn. The wealthiest people don't rely on a single income source.
They have multiple streams of income flowing in. Maybe it's a side business, freelance work, dividend income from investments, rental income, royalties from a book or course, or affiliate marketing. The goal is to diversify your income so you're not dependent on just one source. If you lose your job, you still have other money coming in, and the more income streams you build, the faster you can save and invest. Let me give you some ideas. If you have a skill, freelance it. Web design, writing, graphic design, consulting, whatever you're good at, there's probably someone willing to pay for it. If you have knowledge in a specific area, create an online course or write an ebook. The upfront work is significant, but once it's done, it can generate passive income for years. If you're good at creating content, start a blog, YouTube channel, or podcast. It takes time to build an audience, but once you do, you can monetize through ads, sponsorships, and affiliate marketing. If you have extra space, rent it out on Airbnb. If you have a car, drive for Uber or deliver food. I'm not saying you need to do all of these. Pick one or two that align with your skills and interests and commit to them. Even an extra $500 to $1,000 a month can dramatically accelerate your wealth building. Strategy number 5. Continuously increase your income. Most people focus on cutting expenses, which is important, but there's a limit to how much you can cut. You can't cut your rent to zero. You can't stop eating. But there's no limit to how much you can earn. So while you're building wealth, also focus on increasing your primary income. That might mean asking for a raise, switching jobs for better pay, gaining new skills, getting certifications, or climbing the corporate ladder. Studies show that people who switch jobs every few years tend to earn significantly more than those who stay at the same company for decades. I'm not saying you should job hop constantly, but don't be afraid to explore opportunities and invest in yourself. Take courses, read books, attend conferences, build your network. The more valuable you become, the more you can earn. Now let's talk about the power of compound interest, because this is what turns your wealth-building efforts from good to incredible. Compound interest is when your money earns returns, and then those returns earn returns, and it keeps snowballing. Einstein allegedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. Let me show you how powerful it is with an example. Let's say you're 25 years old and you start investing $500 a month in an index fund that averages 8% annual returns. By the time you're 65, you'll have contributed $240,000 of your own money, but your account will be worth over $1.7 million. That extra $1.5 million? That's compound interest working its magic. Now, if you wait until you're 35 to start and invest the same $500 a month, you'll contribute $180,000, but you'll only end up with around $745,000. You contributed $60,000 less, but you ended up with almost $1 million less. That's the power of time and compound interest. The earlier you start, the less you have to contribute, and the more you end up with. But here's the thing. Compound interest works in reverse too. If you have debt with high interest rates, that debt is compounding against you. Every month you don't pay it off, the interest charges pile up, and you end up owing more and more. That's why eliminating high-interest debt is so critical before you start aggressively investing. You want compound interest working for you, not against you. Let's talk about some common mistakes people make when building wealth, because avoiding these can save you years of setbacks. Mistake number 1, lifestyle inflation. This is when your spending increases as your income increases. You get a raise, so you buy a nicer car. You get a bonus, so you upgrade your apartment. And suddenly, even though you're making more money, you're not actually saving more. Fight lifestyle inflation. When you get a raise, immediately increase your savings rate by the same amount. If you get a 10% raise, increase your 401k contribution by 10%. Live like you never got the raise and watch your wealth grow. Mistake number 2, trying to mine the market. People see the stock market drop and they panic and sell, or they see it soaring and they think they've missed out.
The truth is, nobody can consistently predict what the market will do in the short term. Trying to mine the market almost always backfires. The best strategy is to invest consistently, regardless of what the market is doing. If the market is down, great, you're buying stocks on sale. If the market is up, great, your investments are growing. Just keep investing steadily and let time in the market do the work. Time in the market beats timing the market every single time. Mistake number 3, not diversifying. If you put all your money into one stock, one sector, or one investment, you're taking on huge risk. If that investment tanks, you lose everything. Diversification spreads your risk across many investments. That's why index funds are so powerful. You're investing in hundreds or thousands of companies at once. Even if a few fail, the others keep growing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Mistake number 4, ignoring fees. Investment fees might seem small, but they add up dramatically over time. If you're paying 1% in fees on your investments, that might not sound like much, but over 30 years, that 1% fee can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost growth. Always look for low-cost funds. The difference between a fund with a 0.05% expense ratio and a fund with a 1% expense ratio is massive over the long term. Mistake number 5, not having a plan. Wealth doesn't happen by accident. You need a clear plan. What are your goals? When do you want to retire? How much do you need to save? What's your investment strategy? Write it down. Review it regularly. Adjust it as your life changes. A plan gives you direction and keeps you focused when things get tough. Let me share a realistic example of how this all comes together. Meet Sarah. She's 28 years old, makes $60,000 a year, and wants to build wealth. Here's what she does. First, she tracks her spending and creates a budget. She realizes she's spending $400 a month on things she doesn't really value, like subscriptions she never uses and impulse purchases. She cuts that back and redirects the money. Next, she builds a $1,000 emergency fund. It takes her 3 months, but she does it. Then she focuses on her $5,000 of credit card debt at 18% interest. She throws an extra $600 a month at it and pays it off in 9 months. Now she built her full emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. She spends about $3,000 a month, so she saves $12,000 over the next year and a half. With her emergency fund in place and her high-interest debt gone, she starts investing. Her company offers a 401k with a 50% match up to 6%. She contributes 6% of her salary, which is $300 a month. Her company adds another $150. That's $450 a month going into her retirement account. She also opens a Roth IRA and contributes $300 a month, which is $3,600 a year, just over half the annual limit. Between her 401k and her Roth IRA, she's investing $650 a month. She invests in low-cost index funds, primarily an S&P 500 fund and a total stock market fund. Sarah also starts a side hustle doing freelance graphic design. She makes an extra $800 a month. Half of it, $400, goes to maxing out her Roth IRA, which she now fully funds at $7,000 a year. The other $400 she splits between extra investments in a taxable brokerage account and fund money. Over the next 30 years, assuming an 8% average annual return, Sarah's 401k will grow to over $1.2 million. Her Roth IRA will grow to around $850,000, and her taxable account will add another few hundred thousand. By the time she's 58, Sarah will be a multi-millionaire, all from making smart, consistent decisions and sticking to a plan. Here's the beautiful part. Sarah didn't win the lottery, she didn't inherit a fortune, she didn't get lucky with a risky investment. She just followed a proven system. Control her spending, build an emergency fund, eliminate high-interest debt, invest consistently in low-cost index funds, and increase her income. That's it. And that same system can work for you. So what should you do right now, today, to start building wealth? Number 1, track your spending for the next 30 days. Know where your money is going. Number 2, set up or boost your emergency fund.
Start with $1,000, then work toward 3 to 6 months of expenses. Number 3, if you have high interest debt, make a plan to attack it. Choose the snowball or avalanche method and get started. Number 4, if your employer offers a 401k match, sign up and contribute at least enough to get the full match. Number 5, open a Roth IRA or traditional IRA and set up automatic monthly contributions, even if it's just $50 or $100 to start. Number 6, educate yourself. Read books, watch videos, take courses. The more you know, the better decisions you'll make. Number 7, think about ways to increase your income. Can you ask for a raise, switch jobs, start a side hustle? Building wealth isn't about making one huge decision. It's about making hundreds of small, smart decisions over many years. It's about being consistent, patient, and disciplined. It's about living below your means, investing the difference, and letting compound interest do the heavy lifting. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to take huge risks. You just need a plan and the commitment to stick with it. So start today. Your future self will thank you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.